Ever feel like there's a green-eyed monster just kind of hanging around?
Oh, yeah.
Well, today we're going deep on jealousy.
Ooh.
This deep dive might surprise you. We're going to figure out how to deal with jealousy, the healthy way.
Right.
We'll break down what it is, where it comes from, and how to deal with it. But first, think back to when you felt that pang of jealousy. What was it that got to you? How did it make you feel?
Yeah, so jealousy, it's often confused with envy. They sound so similar, but there's a big difference. Envy, that's wanting what someone else has.
Right.
Like wishing you had your friend's car.
Yeah,
But jealousy, that's the fear of losing something you already have.
Ooh, I see.
Like when your partner is suddenly spending a lot of time with someone new.
That feeling of potential loss. But where does this intense feeling even come from?
Right.
Is it just wired into us, or is it something we pick up from the world around us?
Psychologists are actually debating this right now.
Wow.
One theory looks way back to, evolution.
Okay.
Think about our ancestors, way back when resources were super scarce. Jealousy could have been a way to survive, helping them protect their partners, to make sure their kids lived on, passing on their genes.
So jealous cavemen protecting their partners and babies.
Exactly.
It's primal. But then some people say jealousy is a social construct.
Totally. Social construct. It's a big word.
It is.
But basically it means it's created by society, not nature.
Okay.
Like, blue for boys, pink for girls. That wasn't always a thing.
Right.
Same with jealousy. Some cultures are way more possessive, which totally impacts how jealous we get. Think arranged marriages versus swipe right dating. Totally different expectations.
Wow, that's a great point. So jealousy can be a kind of signal telling us about cultural norms and expectations.
Exactly.
But the lecture I read said a little jealousy might not be a bad thing. Tell me more about that.
Right. It sounds kind of crazy, but moderate jealousy can actually be good for relationships. Well, think of it like this. Imagine your partner starts hanging out a lot with a new coworker. A little jealousy might make you want to plan a fun date night, rekindle the spark and subtly remind them of what they have with you. It's like turning jealousy into a good thing.
So we can actually use jealousy to strengthen our relationship.
Exactly. It's about seeing it as information, not just a negative feeling.
I love that. Instead of seeing it as this destructive force, maybe it's a way to understand our own needs and our partner's needs.
Yes, absolutely.
Who knew jealousy could be helpful.
Right. It's all about balance. A little jealousy can be good, but too much. That's when it becomes a problem. It's like adding spice to a dish. A pinch enhances the flavor, but too much ruins everything.
Okay, that's a great analogy. So how do we know when we're feeling jealous? What are the signs?
Well, we might not literally turn green, but there are emotional and physical signs to look out for.
Like what?
Emotionally, you might feel a wave of anger, anxiety, suspicion, even sadness. Physically, you could feel your heart racing, palms sweating, or even nausea. It's your body's way of saying, hey, something's up.
So those are the more obvious signs. But what about the sneaky ways jealousy shows up?
Ah, yes. Jealousy can be subtle. It doesn't always make a grand entrance. Sometimes it hides behind passive-aggressive stuff like sarcasm or withdrawing affection. It could even be those backhanded compliments or little digs at the person you're jealous of.
Jealousy, the master of disguise. But this is making so much sense. Here's another thing. Why are some people more prone to jealousy than others? What's going on underneath it all?
It often comes down to deeper insecurities hiding beneath the surface.
So it's not just about them doing something wrong. It's about our insecurities, right?
Exactly. Jealousy is like a mirror reflecting our vulnerabilities.
Wow.
It could be a fear of not being good enough, low self-esteem, maybe even past betrayals that are still hanging around.
That makes sense.
And research actually shows that folks with low self-esteem get hit harder by jealousy because they're already worried about losing the relationship, even when there's no real threat.
So jealousy is like a wake-up call. It's saying, hey, there's some inner work to be done here. But what about when jealousy comes up in a relationship? How do we deal with that without messing things up?
Open and honest communication is key. It might feel a little awkward at first, but talking about those jealous feelings can be incredibly beneficial.
Right. Bottling it up just makes things worse.
Exactly.
In the lecture, there was this couple, Emma and Jake. They used to fight all the time about jealousy.
Oh, no.
But then Emma told Jake how she felt threatened when he spent a lot of time with his female friends. They talked it through, figured out how to deal with her insecurities, and set some boundaries that worked for both of them.
Exactly. By sharing your feelings, you open the door to understanding and reassurance.
That's so important.
It's also a chance to address underlying issues, clarify boundaries, and reinforce those relationship needs.
It's a chance to build trust and make the relationship stronger. But talking about jealousy can be hard. Any tips for doing it productively?
Absolutely. One thing that really resonated with me from the lecture is to use I feel statements, not you make me feel accusations.
Ooh, that's a good one.
So instead of saying you make me feel insecure when you flirt with other people, try I feel insecure when I see you flirting with other people.
That small change in language can make a big difference.
Huge difference. It opens up a more understanding conversation. It's about expressing yourself without blaming, so your partner is more open to hearing you.
So communication is crucial. But what else can we do to deal with those jealous feelings?
Reassurance goes a long way. Small gestures of love and affection, saying, I love you, showing appreciation, spending quality time together can really help ease those fears that fuel jealousy. It's like reminding your partner and yourself that the bond is strong.
Okay, but wouldn't too much reassurance backfire? It's like needing constant validation that gets exhausting.
You're absolutely right. It's about finding that balance. Both partners should be working together, addressing the issues, building a sense of security. It shouldn't all be on one person.
Teamwork. Speaking of teamwork, what about boundaries? How do those fit into managing jealousy?
Boundaries are like essential in any relationship.
Uh-huh.
They help you define what's okay and what's not. Helps to keep jealousy in check.
So you both know where you stand.
Exactly. It's all about understanding what makes each other comfortable and respected.
What might those boundaries actually look like?
Well, it depends on the couple, but, some common ones are setting limits on flirting, agreeing on being open about social media stuff, or maybe deciding how much time is appropriate to spend with friends of the opposite sex.
So it's creating clear expectations, guidelines that work for both of you.
Right.
But it's not about controlling each other.
Right, exactly. Healthy boundaries are about mutual respect, not control.
Okay, good.
You got to make them together, both partners having a say. If they feel too strict or one-sided, it can actually breed resentment.
Which is the opposite of what we want.
Exactly. It can end up doing more harm than good.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So communication, reassurance, boundaries. Those are key for managing jealousy in a relationship. But what about when we're on our own?
Right.
What can we do personally to tame that jealousy?
Self-reflection. It's so powerful.
Okay.
Take time to really explore those feelings of jealousy. Write about them. Talk to a therapist, maybe. It can help uncover the root of those insecurities.
So it's about recognizing that jealousy is usually a symptom of something deeper.
Exactly. And here's a cool fact. Research shows that self-reflection not only helps with jealousy, but also boosts your self-awareness and emotional intelligence.
2 for 1.
Right. And those are so valuable for pretty much any challenge in life.
So we're turning a negative emotion into personal growth.
Exactly. And don't forget self-compassion.
Right. So important.
Yeah. It's easy to beat ourselves up when you're feeling jealous, but everyone feels insecure sometimes. It's human. Instead of being super hard on yourself, try saying, hey, I'm feeling insecure right now, and that's okay. What can I do to feel better?
Self-compassion is like a warm hug for your soul.
Right. And the lecture suggests writing yourself a little pep talk letter when you're feeling jealous. Focus on your strengths, your accomplishments, all those awesome things about you.
Boost that self-esteem.
Yes. But sometimes the jealous energy just feels overwhelming. How can we channel that into something more positive?
That's a great question.
One of the best things is to redirect that energy. Think of jealousy as this powerful force waiting to be used for good. Find something that lets you release it in a healthy way.
Okay, I like that.
Could be something creative, like painting, writing, playing music, or physical yoga, sports, even just a run. Anything to get you moving and feeling good.
So we're transforming that negative energy into something that empowers us.
Exactly, and there's science behind it. Research shows that exercise, like yoga or sports, can actually lower jealousy by letting out those pent-up emotions and making you feel accomplished.
It's a win-win. You feel good, move your body, and tame that green-eyed monster.
Totally.
But we can't ignore the elephant in the room or maybe the smartphone in our pocket. Social media.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one. It's like a breeding ground for comparison, which just fuels those feelings of not being good enough and jealousy.
Because we're constantly seeing these idealized versions of other people's lives.
Right, and that's the danger zone. If we don't recognize that, it can really erode trust in our relationships.
It's like we're comparing our worst moments to everyone else's highlight reel. The lecture talked about a couple, Mia and Tom, struggling with Mia's jealousy. She kept comparing Tom to her friends' partners on Instagram. made her feel like their relationship was lacking.
Oof, that's tough.
Yeah. But then Mia took a break from social media. She realized her jealousy came from those unrealistic online portrayals, a real eye-opener.
It's a good reminder that what we see on social media is not the whole story.
Not even close.
Hmm.
So being careful about what we see on social media can really help with jealousy.
Absolutely. It's about prioritizing your mental health and avoiding those comparisons that just make you feel worse.
Okay.
Focus on your life, your journey. Appreciate the beauty of your relationships. Don't get caught up in those unrealistic expectations.
That's a great point. So we've covered a lot about jealousy, where it comes from, healthy ways to manage it. But there's another side to this, when it becomes toxic.
Yes. It's so important to know the difference. Jealousy, when it's healthy, can help you grow, communicate better. But when it turns toxic, it can wreck a relationship.
How can we tell when it's gone too far?
Toxic jealousy usually involves controlling behavior, being obsessive suspicious. Things like always checking your partner's phone, accusing them without proof, trying to keep them away from friends and family. It creates this atmosphere of fear, mistrust, and that just tears down the foundation of the relationship.
So it's about recognizing when those feelings are driving unhealthy actions.
Exactly. And if you see those behaviors, whether it's you or someone you know, it's important to get help.
What kind of help?
Therapy is amazing. It gives you a safe space to explore those feelings, figure out where they come from, and learn how to cope in a healthy way. Therapy can help individuals and couples dealing with jealousy.
Are there specific therapies that work well for jealousy?
Cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, is often recommended. It helps you identify and challenge those irrational thoughts that fuel the negative feelings. Research shows it can really reduce jealousy. Like one study found that after 10 weeks of CBT, people felt a lot less jealous and more secure in their relationships. It's about retraining your brain to respond differently.
So it's like rewiring those negative thought patterns. What about couples therapy? Can that help too?
Absolutely. Couples therapy can help you communicate better about your feelings, build trust, and work together to create a healthier, more secure dynamic.
So whether it's individual or couples therapy, seeking professional help can give us the tools to manage jealousy in a healthier way.
Exactly. It's amazing how much research supports this. Therapy can be super effective, leading to better communication, more trust, and a big decrease in those jealous feelings. There's always hope. Even when it feels overwhelming, there are ways to manage jealousy and build stronger relationships. We've talked about so much already. What are your thoughts so far? What stands out to you about jealousy?
Yeah, it's like we can shift our thinking, from seeing it as just this bad thing to seeing it as a chance for something good.
Totally. And we have to remember that not all jealousy is the same, right?
Right.
There's a huge difference between, that little twinge of insecurity and that all-consuming jealousy that can lead to bad behavior.
Yeah.
It's so important to be able to tell the difference between healthy jealousy, like we talked about,
Yeah.
that can actually motivate positive change, and toxic jealousy that can just poison a relationship.
Right.
Remember those red flags we discussed? Things like controlling behavior, constantly checking up on your partner, always being suspicious. Those are signs that jealousy has gone too far.
Yeah, it's like a fire, right? A small controlled fire. It can be warm and give you light, but if you let it get out of control.
It can burn everything down.
Exactly.
That's a great analogy.
So how can we keep those jealousy flames under control?
Well, we've talked about a lot of strategies today, right?
We have.
Open communication, reassurance, setting healthy boundaries, and don't forget self-reflection and self-compassion. Those are our tools.
Our jealousy toolkit.
Exactly. Those are the basics for dealing with jealousy in a healthier way, both for ourselves and in our relationships.
And let's not forget about channeling that jealous energy into something positive.
Yes.
Remember that study about physical activity?
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing how something as simple as going for a run or hitting the gym can actually reduce jealousy.
It really is. It's like redirecting all that pent-up energy into something that makes you feel good physically and emotionally. And don't forget about creativity.
Right.
Things like painting, writing, playing music, anything that you're passionate about can be so therapeutic and help you process those emotions in a healthy way.
It's about finding those things that let you express yourself,
Yeah,
connect with yourself, and turn that negative energy into something beautiful.
absolutely.
And we can't forget about being mindful of social media.
Oh, yeah. That's a big one. It's so easy to get caught up in comparing ourselves to others when we're constantly bombarded with these perfect, curated versions of everyone else's lives.
And that just makes us feel worse.
Exactly. It's like we're holding ourselves up to an impossible standard, which just leads to feeling inadequate and jealous. It's so important to remember that social media isn't real life.
Right.
What we see on those feeds is rarely the whole story.
It's like comparing our bloopers reel to everyone else's highlight reel.
Exactly. So be aware of what you're consuming online and how it makes you feel. If you're finding yourself feeling envious or bad about yourself after scrolling through social media, it might be time to take a break, unfollow those accounts that trigger those negative emotions, or even consider a full-on social media detox.
It's about taking care of our mental health.
Yes, prioritizing our well-being and protecting ourselves from those unnecessary comparisons.
So to wrap things up, we've learned that jealousy is a complex emotion that we all experience at some point. It can be a source of pain and conflict, but it can also be a chance for growth, understanding, and deeper connection.
It really depends on how we approach it. If we can learn to recognize those jealous feelings, understand where they're coming from, and use those healthy coping mechanisms we've talked about today, we can actually turn jealousy into something positive.
Instead of being afraid of it, maybe we can learn to work with it, listen to what it's trying to tell us, and use its energy to make our lives and relationships better.
That's a beautiful way to put it. It's about changing our perspective on jealousy and seeing it not as something to be ashamed of, but as an opportunity to learn more about ourselves, to understand our needs and desires, and to build stronger and more fulfilling relationships.
So the takeaway here is that jealousy is a part of life, but we have the power to choose how we respond to it. If you're looking for a way to improve your relationships, maybe it's time to turn that green-eyed monster into your own personal growth guide.
I love that.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into jealousy.
It's been a pleasure.
We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.